Hello, my loves. How are you? So, Nala is here with us today. She's very excited. She is appreciating our move, but it's good to see you. I'm still really in the process of landing. I'm going to share a few quick messages that I've been picking up on, and then we'll also go into some cards and see what wants to come forward for you. That's what you'll see on the title, whatever comes through. So I feel like I've moved like a few different dimensions, a few different timelines, a few different dimensions, and literally still landing. There's been quite a few themes coming up connected to this process of like really moving into the next phase. And part of it, as we're moving into it, there seems to be like a pretty deep, because we're moving into more of the physical phase, right? So there's sort of like these deep energetic purges that are happening. I've experienced a bunch of people on my Patreon have been also confirming they've been experiencing it. For me, I'll just share, it's literally been feeling like the old patterns, the old processes, the old ancestral weight, like the old collective patterns are literally like coming out of my bones. Um, and sometimes it'll feel like a little bit achy or sore, but then it like moves pretty swiftly. Anyway, that's kind of some of the things. It's like the old patterns are literally purging out of our physical bodies. In my understanding, anyway, of course, always take care of yourself and support yourself through it no matter what. But also that there's this very clear energy that those that have been walking this path with more awareness have been released from a lot of the old dynamics so that we can step more fully into building the new. And part of this is sort of really unraveling out of the codependence, unraveling out of, you can tell, like I'm still landing, right? What it was. It's almost like I don't even have the words. I can't even access to a degree what it was because we're moving into something so incredibly new. But the bottom line, I would say, is that when I feel into it, roll with me, it feels very pleasant, very centered, very grounded, and really being released from taking on situations, people, places, or things or dynamics that aren't actually supportive. There's this sense that we're being released from the dynamics and the situations that really are no longer serving our growth. And apparently Nala likes this. You can tell, like, she's happy. Ooh, wow. Okay. So some of the messages that were also coming through as a result, it seems to be a majority of the feminines are the ones that are landing in the new. But of course, you know that there are some masculines who are doing it as well. And also, in general, the masculine collective, what's been coming through is that their higher self is sort of like really beginning to press down and put pressure on their systems quite significantly because it is time for them to start moving. It's time for them to start transmuting and moving through whatever's been suppressed and really moving in and towards their true capacity, sort of like many of us have already gone through. So it's all perfect. Again, the collectives are always working in tandem. And of course, there will be some feminines within that masculine collective group. But just in general, as the general feminine collective moves to the new phase, the masculine collective is moving to their new phase. And I would say the centripetal point that feels the most significant is the capacity for the feminines to be present, to be neutral, to be tempered, and also in an energy of compassion without taking any of it on. In a sense, all you really have to do is just continue to stabilize and remain neutral. This is actually what I'm being shown the most supportive, one of the most supportive, if not the most supportive thing that you can do for the collective, for yourself and for the collective, and for your counterpart, allowing them to go through whatever process is necessary for them to be able to level up into their next phase as well. And this is really important that we see it not as they're behind. They were doing exactly what was needed to hold space so that we could move forward, so that we would know where the shadows were, so we would know where to work, right? And this process is always in tandem from my experience. You're holding space for and with one another, and each goes within their strengths to support the process, but also each has to go in and balance and harmonize and embody those internal union energies for themselves. And my sense is that in general, the masculine collective is being called to their process of finding and working with and strengthening their own internal union, however that may look for them. All of a sudden, I just got guided to pull the Priestess of Light. Oh, wow. Okay. Angelic assistance, divine guidance, loving support. So this makes sense with that overarching energy of this being divinely orchestrated, divinely supported, right? Allowing yourself to receive, to practice being in your receptive energy, feminines, oh, and masculines, however it's aligning for you. And also, yeah. Wow, this is hitting me right now. More wants to come with this. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So right out of the gate, this angelic assistance and then the hermit card. And to me, oftentimes this hermit card is that higher self embodiment. So this is starting to feel like where the feminines have been embodying that higher self and the masculines are in this process of that illuminating. And of course, any of you, regardless of how you identify, can be feeling both of these simultaneously. Like you've been embodying, but more is being embodied as we speak, which makes sense how my system feels, to be honest. This Ace of Cups is really speaking to me about how the higher self and the divine is supporting this next phase. They've always been supportive, but it's supporting it in a much broader way so that the love can be embodied in a very physical way. This feels to me that there's going to be some more heart openings and some more heart activations. One more. Queen of Wands. I want to get a little more with that. Wow. Okay. So we have the Queen of Wands and the Hierophant, which again, this is sort of like the masculine embodying his higher self, the feminine sort of already has in a lot of ways. But there's also these deeper states of inner union that are occurring. Wow. I keep getting these waves during these messages of like heaviness, right? But again, this heaviness that's coming in feels almost like a weighted blanket. It sort of is that like support to help us process through and stay grounded with whatever this next phase is. All the blues and then the purples and pinks. It's very, wow. To me, the more I just feel into it, it feels like so much internal union energies and so much physical union energies, and just allowing the divine to orchestrate everything. This is why the surrender is so important, right? And it's almost like with those that have been suppressing that weight that might be bearing down on them is that pressure that comes from the divine when you're being guided to surrender. And if you've been trying to willfully force your life in a certain direction, but you're meant to be someplace else, it will get very heavy. It will get hard and intense, not because it needs to be per se the way that your life goes, but if you're trying to force it a certain way in a certain direction that isn't where you're meant to be, it will get heavier and heavier and heavier. And as I'm saying that, it's like whatever part of the collective is in this process, it's sort of like they're reaching that that finish line where they've taken what they've done as far as it can go, and source is stepping in to support like that divine process, the divine release, and the moving into the next phase. Wow, there's a lot with this. Honestly, it's almost a little bit too much for me to fully tap into at the moment. So I'm going to give it a little bit of space. And wow, I'll talk to you soon. Much love.